You didn't die when you hit the Sandrome made sure of that. A figure in divine costume approaches your body, pressing searing metal into your skin. Not cruelty verification. If your body twitches, another man steps forward and crushes your skull. That's just protocol. And somehow, that's the least terrifying part of your day. This isn't the cinematic fantasy you've seen. This is the real experience stitched together from bones, inscriptions, and the cold commentary of Roman writers who described slaughter like it was small talk. Think you'd last a full day? Let's test that. The structure itself begins the intimidation. Towering stone, overwhelming scale, built with war spoils and slave labor. Tens of thousands enter through dozens of gates, perfectly organized by class. Power is visible everywhere, even in where you're allowed to sit. And above it all, the emperor watches. Not among the people, but apart from them. Because even the man who orders death prefers distance. Why? Because what happens here isn't sport, it's industry. Animals from across continents are slaughtered for spectacle. Lions, bears, tigers transported across empires just to die under applause. Entire ecosystems erased for entertainment. And that's just the opening act, because the real attraction is you. You didn't choose this. You were bought. Most fighters arrive as slaves or condemned prisoners. A few volunteer, but desperation, not glory, drives them. Debt, fame, escape. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. You stop being a person? In Roman law, you become infamous illegal outcast stripped of dignity. You're owned, trained, and displayed like an asset. Your new home is a training school, a strange mix of prison and elite gym. You're fed, treated, and trained not out of kindness, but because you're valuable, a living investment. Your diet? Grains, beans, dried fruit. Heavy, filling, designed to build a layer of fat, not muscle. Why? Because fat keeps you alive. It cushions blows, protects organs, and lets shallow wounds bleed dramatically without killing you. You're not trained to look strong, you're trained to survive damage. To strengthen bones, you drink ash mixtures, burnt remains mixed into your food. It sounds insane. It worked. Every day you train for hours with weapons heavier than what you'll actually use. Twice the weight. Twice the strain. Because when real combat begins, your body needs to move without hesitation. Because hesitation equals death. What happens when fear takes over? You freeze. And frozen fighters don't last long. Different fighting styles are carefully matched. Not for fairness, but for drama. Light versus heavy. Speed versus strength. Strategy versus endurance. A nearly unarmored fighter with a net faces a heavily armored opponent struggling to breathe. The crowd loves imbalance. Why? Because unpredictability is entertaining. But here's the twist, the lightly armored fighter often wins. Faster, more agile, harder to trap, and yet mocked. Because winning the wrong way offended Roman ideals. What does that tell you about their values? Survival didn't earn respect, only spectacle did. And then comes the night before your fight. You're given a meal. Good food, wine, time to settle unfinished business. It feels like a reward. But it's actually a farewell. Because tomorrow you might be gone. Morning arrives, but you're not first. The arena fills with executions, prisoners thrown to animals. Mythological reenactments where death is real. The crowd cheers, the sand darkens. You wait below, hearing everything, then it's your turn. Trumpets sound, procession begins. Symbols of power, order, and death parade before you. And then you step into the light. 80,000 voices crash over you. Can you stay calm? Because that's your only chance. You fight, and every movement matters. If you win, you live. For now, if you lose but survive, you raise a finger, begging, hoping. The crowd decides. They shout for mercy or death, and the signal? It's not what movies show, even historians debate it. But one thing is clear, the gesture mimicked violence. A command, not a suggestion. Your fate rests on noise, popularity, luck. What if the crowd hates you? Then it's over. At its peak, death wasn't guaranteed every fight, but it was common. Many fighters died young. Most didn't last beyond a handful of matches. Some became legends, rare survivors. Others, forgotten. In Rome, fame was borrowed. Death was permanent. The arena rewarded spectacle but punished weakness. Some fighters even refused freedom, choosing to stay for the fame, the roar, the identity. Because outside the arena, they were nobody. Inside, they mattered. Until they didn't, archaeological remains tell the truth. Broken skulls, healed injuries, fatal blows. Evidence of mercy killings delivered after the fight. Even animal attacks. Bite marks, real, brutal, undeniable. And then there were emperors who entered the arena. Not fairly, but symbolically untouchable, because no one dared strike back. Power disguised as bravery. What does that say about authority? Even after death, your body is used. Your blood becomes ritual, your sweat becomes a product. Your remains commodities, you belong to the system. Completely. For centuries, this machine ran without question. Hundreds of thousands died, millions watched, until one moment broke it. A man stepped into the arena not to fight, but to stop the violence. The crowd killed him, and only then did Rome end the games. It took witnessing resistance to finally question the spectacle. So let's be honest, would you have lasted a day? You wake in chains, you train under pressure, you eat for survival, you walk into noise, chaos, fear, you fight. And maybe, just maybe, you walk out, but most didn't. And the crowd? They would have watched you fail. If this made you see history differently, hit like and subscribe to Wines of Thought.